Welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs, where BDS managed to pull out a win. I watched that entire game from start to finish like a hawk, and I'm still not entirely sure how they did it. But they did make it happen, and it did all start in draft. Let's talk about it, boys. There was some stuff we liked, and there was some stuff we very much did not like.
I was a huge hater here of this Viego, because you have Rumble, you have Azir, and you have Ashe. Everything is looking so great, but I feel like the Viego just took over. GX, their draft was typical GX fashion. They got everything that they really wanted. Double ADC with triple frontline. But I expected a little bit more from this BDS, because I wanted them to learn a little bit from the mistakes of their past, because they already did the Viego experiment with Mundo the week before, and it didn't work out. And now I guess they just ran it back with the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring that Rumble specifically. I'm going to bring something up you were talking about in the green room, Drakos, which is I don't think BDS expected Rumble to be open. I think they saw Rumble was open. They know that's one of those champions that Antonio do well on. So they thought to themselves, we have to first pick this. But BDS probably haven't played this in a while, and even when they did back then, it wasn't the most comfortable style either. So suddenly they had to tailor this draft around their Rumble first pick, and I think that put them in an uncomfortable position because they couldn't really do that in a way where they got all the tools that they wanted and wanted to play the style that they wanted.
And as much as when we looked at this draft on paper, it felt like BDS should be getting these big leads early on and should be set up for success. Even if Viego was kind of a black mark on this otherwise solid draft, it didn't really happen.
I mean, they got leads, like just random leads where it's like, oh, we're ahead, we got some farm, here's some grubs, I'm a jungle camp ahead of us at Juhan, big deal. That's the lead we're looking at, and no explosive fight. It was very boring in the early game, I'm not gonna lie.
I can see how it would work though, because if you have this Viego with Rumble and Azir, you have strong side lane pressure, and if you want to go for this, then sure, you can do it, but you really need to create some chaos on the side lane where you get like side lane push aggressively, and then you look to collapse on mid lane and get some magic going. But it was just the typical BDS game where you just group up, ARAM a little bit, fight on objectives. So from this, I don't see any sort of value in the Viego pick.
I mean, I think they still tried to side lane, at least alone with Nuke, but it's just they never did it as a team. And I agree with that. That's my main issue with that. But Nuke was actively trying to make use of those grubs. It's just they were never in a position where they had enough time to take any of these tier 2s down.
And of course, this is one of the situations that you kind of talked about, Odoamne, where we saw the problem with the champion like Viego is that he really struggles to contribute in a lot of these fights that probably could have been BDS favored with a different champ.
Especially now when he's forced to Viego ult outside, because right now he's just a cheerleader on the side lane. His contribution in this whole fight where everyone just buying so much space, granted it's 4v5 because Azir is top, but Azir even finds the flank TP now in, and all he can do is sit on the side and try to land a W. He's a utility bot when the identity of the champion is this sort of reset bruiser assassin, and right now the moment he tries to get in, he doesn't really do anything. He's just sitting there.
And they're so scared as well. They don't have enough vision in their own jungle. They're getting poked out by the Ezreals. They have to worry about if Antonio is charging a Q in the bush, and even when they hit the stunts, Nuke isn't feeling himself enough to go in for a slide either with the ultimate, because he's scared of getting burned up immediately too. So it's just awkward looking at them posturing around like that.
And this whole game, to be honest with you, if you're watching home, it's a little bit awkward, because mostly, while GX were behind early game, this is a positive change. GX were kind of winning right up until they lost. It's a weird game because GX, we saw marked improvement. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I didn't really love what they had in draft, but if BDS kind of show what they showed in this game one for the vast majority of it, it doesn't feel super BDS favored because they didn't find that big lead. They were, in theory, kind of in this position set up to be outscaled. At least in terms of ease of execution, GX were favored. And at the end, it just went so late that it came down to one kind of play, and that's not where a team like BDS, that should be so clearly favored in this matchup, wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really walking away from game one feeling good about any of these teams going into it. We saw the first Baron where BDS just started it up, and they just straight up died. Then we see this one again where GX finally has a lead, and they just don't manage to actually have all 5 members available. Jackie's not even there. He's been trying to push on tier 2 or tier 3 on the top side, and they just burn Sejuani immediately, and now suddenly BDS can play the game.
For me, it's a miracle that they get the Snatcher, because it was way past the point where BDS can win this game, I felt like, because the tanks were online. And Viego just, again, pulls out a little magic trick out of the hat, disengages the fight, and now I think they just see this hawkshot to reveal everyone basing with Sejuani dead. now it's your prime time to get the Nasher. And even after this, even with the worst team comp, this Baron buff is just so strong, given that your side laners are still super strong in the game with the Rumble and the Azir, that you can just set up the map. Even though you don't really have a lot of tools to fight, you can set up the map and just get control of everything.
Yeah, but also just speaking of that control in the early game, like there's so much of a domino effect going on here. The fact that in the early game GX was only able to really get one neutral, which was one Drake from it, but it was still BDS stacking the early dragons, BDS getting all the grubs. So when they finally got into a position where they could take one of these dragons again, well, suddenly you see BDS with Soul, even though they, when you look at the gold graph, they should not have been in a position at all to even be allowed to get something as strong as that.
I mean, it's a really excellent point. While we still want to see more from BDS in the early game, they did have that insurance policy. They did set themselves up where if, yes, it did take kind of a miracle opportunity, it did take a bit of a slip up from GX, they were still able to bring that home, and I think that is big as we head forward in the series. And I gotta say, as much as this has been a very critical segment, I do think we need to give some praise where it is due. BDS do manage to hold on. I think on the opposite side for GX, weathered that early game storm well. It's not my favorite way to play the game. I don't like giving up priority a lot early on, but if you can survive, if you can scale to that late game, GX doing much better. Yes, it's still a negative deficit. We expected it in draft, but this is a position where GX showed some improvement and BDS at least set themselves up for a comeback.
Listen, the reason we hate so much on these drafts is because they just narrow your win conditions so much. Sure, the trade-off for GX is that they get these tanks, which gives them a lot of win conditions later on in the game. And BDS, we are so critical because they get to the point where, since they're in a goal deficit, they don't really have a lot of tools to win the game, but they can still do, and we saw that later on in the ARAM on mid lane.
I mean, we also just have high expectations of BDS from what we've seen in regular season, from what we've seen in previous splits. They should just be the team that locks into that third place multiple times, and their story should be they should conquer third place. They should get past it. For them to be stuck here against GX is not what you want for a team like this. On the other side of the coin, you have GX as a team who needs to make it to season finals. We need to see more firepower. We need to see a higher tempo, because if you just burn out like this against a team like BDS, you're not going to make it to season finals.
Ultimately, feels like expectations on both teams to kind of ramp it up in this game too. A bit messy on both sides in game one. It is safe to say GX, of course, have chosen blue side. We'll see how they adapt as we send it over to our casters for game two.
Thank you very much, Drakos. We are here for game two. I wonder if it will be as roller coastery as game one.
That's the word for it.
Yeah, roller coastery is the word we're going to go for. As a reminder, for GIANTX, if SK win today, they are in season finals, even if they lose this series. For SK, if BDS win this series, they're into season finals as well. So then the battle would be between Carmichael and GIANTX for that final spot. Carmichael would need to get third place in summer.
Let's see how things pan out. We're getting ready for game two. The drafts
don't matter. Whose line is it anyway? Drafts are made up and the points don't matter.
I agreed with Odo's assessment, and I think it's a strange situation where I do think GIANTX had the better draft, but they played fights worse, ultimately. So BDS, if they can just get themselves a stronger draft, as they should be, they're coming in as favorites in this matchup, I think they should be favored. And I think that they should reassess their approach in terms of how they want to play fights.
But I also agree with the desk. I don't want to see Viego anymore. I don't want to see that. I just don't think it works in the meta that we have at the moment. And the fact that you then end up losing out on an AD mid as a result as well just really doesn't suit it. I think highly prioritizing things like the brand work out well, and especially with already Zyra and Talia already taken off the board, it feels like the AP, well, mids to a certain extent, but definitely jungle pool is going to get pinched here.
Tristana and Kai'Sa taken away by Team BDS. There's the brand banned away. BDS have their final
those are all target
left.
bans towards Sheo.
Yeah.
So now you have to imagine Sejuani is the first pick.
Yeah. And then where do you go if you're Sheo? Do you look to something like the Ivan? Do you
probably
Rumble
Maokai.
jungle?
I think he's
Rumble's up.
Oh, they took
Ooh.
Rell away from Labrov, so they really didn't want him to have that. I don't know if that's a huge deal, because he can still play Alistar, Leona.
You could look for Sejuani Renekton here if you really wanted to. That's like very LPL, where you can just get that set up. I don't dislike the Sejuani, and then even if you wanted to take like Corki or something here, that could be the option.
Sejuani Rumble. Wait, Rumble's still up. Still a possibility.
It's banned.
Oh, it is banned. It was banned finally by Team BDS. I looked away after that ban. Before that ban, in fact. That's how eyes work. Yeah. Anyway, there's the Maokai instead of Sejuani. So leaving that up for GIANTX to take on the next rotation if they want it. Stop cheering. Guys, they picked their jungler. Like,
And the rotating AP junglers basically taunting Juhan, saying, when are you going to play?
It's going to be Ezreal. Yeah. You guys knew it would be Ezreal. All right, GIANTX, how are you going to round this out? Are we going to see Patrik on Zeri, perhaps? I'm surprised that Zeri's kind of fallen to the wayside in this series. Ashe is, of course... Oh, okay. Well, Ashe is, of course, still available, is what I was going to say. And it's likely going to be locked in by Patrik.
Yeah, I think you have to take your jungler here, though, because there is a world where you could take, like, Lucian or something in towards the mid lane, but then how many AP options do you have? Like, the Morgana we've seen brought out. I wasn't a big fan of the Diana. I don't think we'll get that. I would be surprised to see Juhan play something like the Nidalee. So I feel like taking that AP jungler here is probably your best bet to keep that open, but
do you
have
need
to see.
an AP? Oh, instead they're going to go for the Ornn.
Oh, wow.
So the Antonio's most played across the year, 6 games on it. Second most played is 2. So has quite a lot of time.
I think you take the Braum in response here, though, because now you got a good answer to Rell, good answer into the Ornn ult as well, and you're totally fine. Okay.
Yeah. I like that more.
I told you
think
drafts are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
I
of
think
how these
Olaf
teams are
is
drafted.
great
I'm not
here,
gonna lie.
honestly.
I think it's good. I think there are plenty of options into Ornn. I think the Braum ban is more than likely going to come through, and now you're kind of left with
Olaf
bit of an
specifically into Ashe is what I like.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a very good matchup into the Ornn, Ashe doesn't get to play the game now. And I don't think that Rell is ever going to provide the peel that will get this Olaf on top of you. Of course.
How can she when he's got Ragnarok?
Exactly. Right. And so Adam, I think, just wanted to make sure, like, I think Olaf is really good here. I want to lock that in. It makes sense. GIANTX, I think, should just ban supports. I would have considered banning a way more engage, things like the Leona. Braum is fine because of how good it is into Ornn and, you know, engage in general. But I would be concerned against BDS's just ability to start fights, which is why both Alistair and Leona, I think, are good picks.
I think there is a world where you could also flex that Ezreal into the mid lane for nuke, and Ice could go something like the Jhin. It means that you don't really have the tank taking power, but because you've already got the Olaf, which is a lot of that damage anyway, just enabling the Olaf with the long-range flourishes or the slows could also work out very well here. So I think there's a lot of rotations that BDS can try and play for here.
Could even bring back the Twitch. Just run into Adam's lane. That's how you enable him. Braum banned away, Amumu and Sejuani taken away by BDS, so trying to really pinch on that CC jungle pool. Alistair removed by GIANTX as well. BDS probably looking towards... I mean, you could go mid here if you wanted, or you can save mid for final pick. Yeah, Leona.
I think Leona is actually a bigger threat than the Alistair, because Leona can get that long range ult to CC Ornn and make it a little bit uncomfortable.
I think they might do Rakan, though.
Yeah, I think having Leona there because she's just a bit beefier.
My instinct is just, I don't think Labrov likes Leona.
Yeah.
I think this is a player preference thing. More
I mean, he
so
hasn't
than,
played it at all this year. This split.
He's got 1 game on it.
Yeah.
Does he? Wait, am I wrong? I was looking at the wrong one.
I think you're wrong.
Yes.
He hasn't played it in summer.
Yes. He doesn't have a game on it. Yeah. So that's why I think Juhan looking to have a Razork performance. Let's find out.
Well, we have Canyon. Yesterday we had Canyon. Then today we'll see. Because it's the N with the... What's it called?
We got the joke.
Yeah. Well, Dagda looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah.
No, well, you are. It was just upset without the joke.
It's a great joke. What are you talking about? Lucian mid for GIANTX to round it out, so it's another AD carry falling into the mid lane. Azir picked up by BDS.
I like BDS's comp a lot.
Yeah.
I think it makes a ton of sense. I think giving Adam that agency to threaten the backline is also really good. Lucian to try and answer some of the side lane pressure, I think, also makes sense, but BDS in the late game are going to have so much side lane pressure. They have very good scaling. They've got great range. GIANTX have an ability to start fights, but I don't think a team fight comp is very good. Like, it's Nidalee, Lucian, Ashe. You know what I mean? It's like you've got a bit of poke and combined with, like, if this was Renekton Nidalee, I could see it more, but
even then, it's like Olaf hits his ult and you can't see him. Maokai has his W to try and get away from the spear.
Yep.
Everyone else is super mobile. It's really difficult for Nidalee to operate in this space, especially when you consider Olaf going to push in top. You're more than likely going to have a Ice and Labrov, I suppose, will actually lose that on bot, but you still, the options for you as Juhan here, are kind of slim as to how you get this Nidalee up and rolling.
I also like that Rakan can just easily follow an Olaf.
Yeah, just running with
often champions like Olaf who can find themselves isolated away from their teams have the Jarvan effect that I like to call it, which is like I press E, Q, Alt. Where's the rest of my team, right? And it's because you have the ability to get onto the backline that many other champions don't. But a Rakan can easily follow, provide that additional CC, and work with Adam. And Azir and Ezreal, very self-sufficient, right? They don't need that same peel, especially with the number of threats on GIANTX. So I like the approach that BDS. I think that they should have an advantage in this draft. We'll see how things play out, though, especially after what happened in Game 1.
On to Summoners if we go for the second game of this best of 3. We'll see if we see 3. Or if we go to the Carmine Court versus SK series, which is...
I thought you were going to end that with...
PO. I was thinking about it, Vedi, I'll be honest. Decided against the Star Wars references.
But are you a Jedi Master of the Rift?
Well, see, here's the thing. We could do that readout, or we could wait for the lower third to come up that shows the thing. And then we'll do the readout. See, now they think we're doing the readout, which is why the order queue is moving.
I thought it was a great segue.
I was told a lower third was going to come up.
Okay.
I've also not been told anything in my ears right now, so I don't want to start reading.
I've messed up everything.
There we go. Are you a master of the Rift? You never miss a game. Santander is here to reward you. Head on over to santandergaming.com to win weekly and monthly rewards with like Hextech chests and skins. This week's code is PENTA50. That's PENTA50. And someone will ask in chat in about 2 minutes, so if one of you can just copy-paste that when someone asks later on. It happened for like 10 minutes into the game when I was watching yesterday.
What they'll do is they'll all spam Penta50 in the chat, thinking that somehow that gives
Oh yeah, if you type Penta50 in the chat right now, something could happen.
I like the way you worded that.
Something good.
Exclamation mark giveaway.
Yeah, if you follow us on social media, that also something might happen.
Yeah.
At Penta50.
Yeah.
Adam looking for the invade once again. He's been a nuisance to Juhan in the early portions of this series, just trying to get in, force Juhan to waste a little bit of time, and he does exactly that.
Adam not taking TP this game.
Who needs it?
Of course, Nuke will likely be the sideline threat as we get later into the game, and there's very few, I mean, only the Lucian currently match him. Against an Ornn, he's going to have so much free push. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, as you can see, Rell doesn't do a huge amount when in the unmounted state. When you mount, there's an opportunity to make it some sort of play. But with Ezreal, you have so much poke at your disposal. You're able to get the early level 2, and they're going to be able to have a small advantage in this very early laning phase.
Yeah, you saw IgNar dismounting to get the shield to try and harass a little bit in the lane. Couldn't do much because you've got the Gleaming Quill from Labrov. That Q start means that you just walk up, Q someone, and you heal up any of the damage they put back onto you. Rell really tricky to play into Ezreal as well because he can always just Arcane Shift away from your initial Magnet Storm. It's going to be a difficult game for IgNar to find any of the backline of BDS. Really needs the backup of a Call of the Forge God or even an arrow landing. But with Ice having Cleanse and with Nuke being able to dash away, it's going to be tricky for GIANTX to actually CC the backline of BDS.
You can see where Sheo is at the moment just trying to make his way down towards his bottom side, but at least be able to match Juhan as he tries to move in towards his spot end, because I think that's probably where his best bet is to make something happen in these early stages. Try and get a slow with Patrik, set up for IgNar and a stun, and then continue forward.
Oh, Adam
takes a tower shot. That's not ideal.
Yeah, suboptimal. I think we could all agree on that. Adam's still healthier than the Antonio, who might try and hold this wave.
Oh, I actually expect
Yeah, I think because the Antonio holds the wave, Adam needs to come back to make sure it shoves in.
But this is the thing, right? Because he took the terror shot, he actually can't play up because he's in pillar range, which means that then you have the opportunity to go for potential all-in. You can kind of see how much damage can come out there. Now, obviously, Adam's healed up, but that's why Adam had to stick around now to crash another wave. Yeah. So it ends up a little bit funky just because he took that terror shot.
It's a bit of a shame that Sheo passed towards bot. In an ideal world, he would have been in here to threaten a dive. But not going to be the case. Juhan now pathing towards that top side to secure the crab.
Adam's already finishing his recall though, so no fear for BDS in the top lane. Juhan will be able to
speed from Sheo already on his second raptor spawn.
Yeah, as you say. You have to remember Juhan was delayed on his first camp. Juhan doesn't have Smite here, Sheo does, so with a Bramble Smash and a Smite, he'll be able to secure his own Razor Beaks.
I mean, Juhan's just being a nuisance right now, but Sheo's still full health. He has to be careful though. I guess the advantage that he has is Adam doesn't really have that much health or mana.
Adam not finishing his recall in the end in the top lane. Maybe just staying around because he saw the invade from Juhan.
Yeah, he just wanted to be there to try and help out. But Sheo now actually stopping his, so they should see those Krugs go back onto the ward, and that might be the sign that you might need to back up the Antonio.
Yeah, you see the pings on the tri-brush. Be careful, the Antonio. There is likely a jungler in the vicinity. He will respect it. He's going to go back to base. He has the TP as well. Adam being forced to catch this wave because, of course, he doesn't have the TP. Both junglers returning to their clip as Sheo does a bit of a base. His pathing is now a bit awkward because he has abandoned the Krugs and his bot side is now going to respawn. Dragon is alive though. Vision going to be gained from the side of BDS towards that bot side of the map. As Sheo is hovering around the top side, recognize that Adam still hasn't base yet.
Hits the level 6 and has to pop the Ragnarok immediately. Doesn't have a huge amount of mana here. Juhan on his way across as well. Adam able to dodge away from the spear. In the end, just trying to force Antonio low.
Goes bot though to try and make that play happen, so you're kind of happy that as the Antonio should still be fine to just crash this wave, and Adam has to take the long walk back. Oftentimes you see people use that ghost to try and get back to lane in these matchups, but not going to have that available now, so I'm curious to see what the Antonio does with the wave. If he does try to crash it to get the bounce, but Patrik in a little trouble.
And the flash here does to get away from the grand entrance, and Labrov can just battle dance back to ice. Sheo went phase rush on the Maokai. We saw a first strike Maokai when you go towards this Leandri's build before, but instead Sheo deciding he wants that little bit more mobility when it comes to team fights rather than the extra golden damage you get from first strike.
Yes. Putting priority on the first objective though.
Yeah, I'm still just not the biggest fan of often opting in towards this Leandri's Maokai first, because I still think you do need to provide that main tank, and you're not going to be able to do it. But set up here for Labrov.
Heal coming out. Jumping away onto ice. Ignite was ticking as well. Well played by Labrov and Ice. Part of the power of the Rakan Ezreal is that ability just to dash out and dash back in. But GIANTX will take the leash and steal away that first objective.
Nice contest there from GIANTX. They just found a good trade in the bot lane, 2 versus 2. Sheo on the Maokai can't really do much against the Nidalee. So just some good awareness there from Juhan to be able to fight back and secure an early objective. Now the Grubs have spawned. This objective may be a little harder, given that Adam does have the push in top lane, was able to get his base off with the Phage in his inventory. He's going to be difficult for GIANTX to deal with in the early game.
Yeah, I think your Sheo just wants to see if he can hit level 6 before they fully commit towards the Void Grubs. You've got Reset coming through on the bottom side, so Ice wants to get back in lane. Actually, just going to try and start up. Actually, maybe just after the Crab is taken here. But if he could hit 6 before this, it'd be such a nice win where they can try and use that ultimate on the Maokai, whereas Juhan doesn't really get that value from the level 6.
Juhan chasing Sheo up the river here, water walking, getting him out of range of the sapling. Adam's going to be able to get a plate and a half, not quite 2. Gets himself about a 250 gold lead, but leads in mid and bot. Not monumental, not massive at all for GIANTX, but a better start than they had in game 1.
Sheo not going to hit 6 off the Krugs either, because they were still only the level 3, because he never cleared them out initially. Doesn't get the little bit of extra XP. Now he's going to hit level 6 actually, so could potentially look for it, but with the positioning of Nuke and Adam, seems like GIANTX are just going to be able to get this, so nice control in the early stages from GIANTX on the objectives.
Yeah, really nice start for them overall. Still not too much in terms of bloodshed, as the arrow connects. Nuke falls low, but can dash away.
Says Culling.
Oh. Nuke has the flasher. No. Culling not quite living up to its name.
Where's the blood?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we're 8 minutes in. Some towers have lost their plates. Not blood, but mortar perhaps falling.
Do you know?
Someone's out there grouting them.
Do you guys remember when we had Bwipo in the league and
No.
we had, okay, maybe you don't, but when we had AP carries bot lane, and bot lane was like Swain, Alistair, or some stuff.
Garen, Yumi, oh wait, no.
I mean, and then all the AD carries got really mad because now mages were just better to play in bot lane. I miss those days.
It's funny how mid laners don't get mad when AD carries have to go mid.
I mean, I think some mid laners are mad. Like the mage and the assassin players, actually. I've heard a lot of complaining from assassin players.
Mid laners, in general, have to play everything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of an expectation that, I mean, unless you're a one-trick and solo queue, right? In the professional scene, mid laners just have to be very flexible. It's kind of the part of the role, which is why I think players like FLICKR have done so well over so many years, because they have had such a very deep and flexible champion pool, right? But AD carries have always been quite stringent, and they have struggled to adapt. And that was the funniest thing about that meta, the fact that a top laner was one of the best AD carries. Just went to show how difficult it was for some AD carries to adapt.
And then when Perks went to AD carry, he was one of the best AD carries.
It
as
was,
well,
that's
so you
true,
know.
I remember that.
And when Caps went to AD carry, it was the same.
Yeah. It's, yeah, but I mean, I think that's one of the cool things. I mean,
That's why you play mid, right?
well, no, I mean,
can play
I'm a washed
everything.
up mid laner for sure. I'm an Ari one-trick now. But it's one of the, like, shout out to K-Draw. To his credit, he was a mid laner, went to jungle, and he was a very good jungler. Like, I do think mid lane is the role swap can actually do very well in other roles, just because mid is, I think, a very hard role, but you get more options. Well,
Even people like Core JJ swapped from AD carry.
Another great example.
But not mid lane, obviously.
Oh, true.
Lucio switched from mid lane in the challenger scene.
Was the most famous one Ambition?
Yeah. Ambition. But yeah.
We're
Overall,
just chatting right now because, you know, we're waiting for the next Dragon spawn. Grubs in about a minute's time. It's been a very slow early game. Both teams just kind of farming, scaling up.
would you say this is acceptable for both teams, or do we
I think
expect
it's
one team
better for
to just get a
BDS.
lead? Okay.
Because I think that they scale better, and I think their comp is stronger. I think that when you have Nidalee, you should always be trying to leverage strong lanes to make the enemy jungler's life difficult. And I don't think Sheo's even remotely sweat once this game.
I think there is a world, though, where if GIANTX can find a good fight, just with coming in with a good ult from the Antonio, good engage from IgNar, you always do have to be a little bit dangerous. Or careful, sorry, because in the early stages here, Sheo hasn't gone for a particularly tanky build. Adam isn't going to be particularly tanky either. So someone to actually take the brunt of GIANTX's up front first isn't really there. So you do have to be careful as BDS.
I mean, I agree. I will say, haven't really seen any bursts from either team so far. So I think it's okay. The latest First Blood in summer was 13:32. On our way towards that.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem that late at all things considered.
KC Mad Lions in playoffs, I believe, was when it happened. Maybe we'll see it here. Last time I talked about a record in this series, immediately that record was not broken. BDS starting up the Drake down to about 2,000. Ninja's Grasp coming out. Drake secured. Labrov going in with the quickness, waiting for the root to expire. Juhan flashes away from the charm in the Emperor's Divide. Adam taken low as well. Call of Fortune coming out in their First Blood. A minute and a half too early if you want to be a record setter. But for GIANTX, they'll be very happy with this exchange. A Drake for 3, I think, is good.
And that's what I was saying, is that if you don't set up properly as BDS, the re-engage or the engage from GIANTX is something you have to be so careful of. They tried to step on a Sheo. Labrov just wasn't really in a position to follow up as best as he could. It meant that GIANTX got to turn that one around.
I mean, Adam just ran away in that fight. Really good job from Jackie's on the Lucian. The initiation looks promising, right? Ice throws out the ultimate on the backline, but look how much damage Adam takes. He just gets cold to oblivion by Jackie's, and then the re-engage here from GIANTX is clean. BDS kind of run out of tools to continue the fight. Their front line, well, I should say the backline threat that Adam should offer doesn't really exist, and so just a well-played patient fight from GIANTX.
TP in here by GIANTX. They're trying to test these grubs. They started them up. They've already got 3. They're looking for more. Sheo gets a smite, takes 1 away, so no 6 grubs. Blast Cone. Twisted Advance going in. Labrov with the knockup as well, and Jackie's still living in the end. Adam brings down the axe and puts him in the grave. GIANTX retreat from the grubs. They only get 3 in the end, and BDS will get 3 of their own. Ice chunked out by Patrik, but can just jump away with the Arcane Shift.
The Blast Cone bounce really hurting Jackie's there, sending him into the waiting hands of Sheo, and then it's an easy pick. So BDS going to be able to equal up on the Void Grubs, cover mid-wave as well. You do see the Antonio getting at least some chip damage down onto this bot side tower. We'll probably get a plate or 2 from himself. Yeah, just before we get the despawn in 15 seconds.
I mean, it's another weird one where I think the GIANTX just overplayed their hand. They were feeling strong, but I think they needed to respect the fact that they did just commit a lot of resources to winning a fight around the Dragon. A lot of their tools weren't going to be available, and also just the circumstances under which the fight happened meant that the Dragon fight was good because a lot of the tools were used initially, and then GIANTX could get a re-engage. But this time around, you were stuck in a choke point, and then, you know, BDS could find a much better fight. So they find that pick. They're going to get the Herald off the back of this as well. The Nidalee is not in a position to contest. Instead, they're going to be forced to cross-map. This will allow BDS to set up a play for the mid-tier 1. And if they can unlock that, then deeper jungle plays become easier, and it becomes harder for Juhan to really threaten Sheo's jungle.
I think they do to be a little careful as GIANTX step in mid here.
Labrov tanks up the arrow, can dash twice, can do it twice, and that will suffice to disengage the play.
But even though you've gotten the Rift Herald, you still have Jackie's down on this bottom side who's about to get bot lane turret. You can then start to rotate Tim around the map, who's now going to pick up about 1.5k, there you go, gold lead for himself. So he's now a major threat in the side lane. At least it will be answered by Olaf in the side lane for Adam, but I still think Jackie's getting into this position where he's such a strong carry is going to be an issue for BDS.
Yeah, while that is true, I feel like he was in the same position last game, and then he got hit by an Ashe arrow.
He has had issues with...
Yeah. I will also say, Ashe is on his team.
I'm sure. It's just one of those things where Jackie's as a player has definitely both been a carry and also been the reason why GIANTX have lost games. His propensity for getting caught out is something that I really want to see him improve on. And you're right, he's set up to be a huge carry threat in this game alongside his jungler Juhan. We'll see if they can deliver on that as they find themselves in a good position here in Game 2.
All of GIANTX's gold lead sits on the shoulders of the mid-jungle duo. Jackie's continues to push out top lane, shadowed by the Antonio.
And I think it's an interesting way to use the Antonio, because if you look at where the bot wave is, it's frozen really far back. You can't really get anything on that bot side, so use that window for the Antonio to actually create some pressure on the side lane and work with Jackie's to get something. But now that he's reset, you're going to need IgNar and Juhan to take over that mantle. It looks like that's what they're going to do, play around him on this top side to get that top lane tower. And the Antonio will have to try and deal with the three-man play on boss.
Yeah, difficult dive. Adam pops the Ragnarok, runs onto Juhan through the Magnet Storm, almost takes Juhan out, needs another axe, and binds it 1-for-1 in a 1v3. The Antonio trying to survive the dive on the bot side. Rift Herald comes in and no tower left to support him. Makes it a sticky situation for the Ornn to be in. Sheo takes the kill.
That is exactly what I expect to see from the Olaf moving forward. There is very little that GIANTX's comp can do to stop him outside of mobility, and now that he's got the stride breaker, it's that much easier to stick onto these slippery targets.
Yeah, kind of like IgNar just was sitting there watching this Olaf ran down Juhan and was like, I got nothing new.
Hits onto nuke. IgNar doesn't have the Magnet Storm, no real engage. The arrow slows the push a little bit, but the tower still falls. 3 turrets to 2 in favor of BDS as they start to back away. The gold lead shrinks to only 1,000 between the two teams now.
I mean, the gold is quite distributed between the two teams. Of course, Adam has a pretty significant lead thanks to playing against the Antonio, who's now just lost his life on the bot side of the map as well. But Jackie's being the one to gain that gold on the top side puts him in an even better position. The Dragon now alive. It's GIANTX that's first the objective. A reset coming through from Ice could make it hard to contest. Adam takes a lot of damage ahead of the fight.
He's got no ghost here.
Nice trade there from Jackie's. Very nice. He's going to be forced back, and that's going to be the Dragon's loss.
Yeah, especially with Jackie's holding on to the Culling there as well. Was just like, look, if you try and come in for a fight through these choke points, I've got the Culling still, so there's no way you can really contest this. So nicely orchestrated by GIANTX, because I think getting that mid-wave control would have let BDS try and set up for multiple different angles of attack, but not going to be the case anymore. And now we're seeing again Nuke set off onto a side lane, trying to see if he can farm up to be that big threat in these late game fights, but it's still very even between these two squads.
It's pretty even in game 1 as well. Obviously, BDS coming out the victors in the end in what was a messy affair. Here, BDS looking to take themselves into the top 4 of LEC Summer. Being ever cursed to be 3rd or 4th. And really being able to crack into the top 2 consistently. Perhaps this is their year. After watching Fnatic G2 yesterday, though, it's a big mountain for them to climb.
But I think a lot of people were looking at BDS saying, oh, hang on, Labrov.
Quickness, cleanse away by Patrik. Call of Forge coming out as well. The Sun Disc comes down, but a great engage from IgNar. Ragnarok going out from Adam as he tries to escape. GIANTX low, but everyone's surviving. 1-for-0. But a turret over to BDS.
The re-engage from GIANTX is consistently so lethal. Both the Rell and the Ornn, the moment that you've committed, find such easy ways to land their crowd control. It ends up being just a 1-for-0 as BDS secure that tower, but Those H bars are getting dangerously low on both sides.
I thought there was going to be way more deaths here. So Labrov gets the nice engage, good cleanse flash from Patrik. But here, like, you're set up for such a perfect engage from the Antonio. So I thought there would be more, but the immunity coming through from the Olaf means he's able to get away. Sheo buys space in the backline as well before he has to flash. And so Ice and Nuke still are a threat in the fight. But that was a precarious situation for BDS.
But what you are seeing is what Adam can do in the fight. The moment that he presses his ult and then threatens the backline, the damage dealers now feel that they need to play for themselves, right? So the CC can, in some situations, not provide value. It very much depends on how much impact Adam can have. And right now, he's still a very squishy Olaf. As the game progresses, he's going to get tankier, and his threat onto the backline is only going to continue to grow.
I think he just has to be careful about not running into the Cully. As long as he's not just base tanking that the entire way, as he's running through, he's fine. So I think looking at like Patrik or Juhan as your main targets is probably your best bet, because well, outside of that, there's no one who can really take you down.
Honestly, in the last fight, I think he could have traded his life for one, but the tower's there. So that was the thing, the big deterrent. He had the Azir tower to play off of as well, which kind of allowed him to escape. But these upcoming fights are definitely going to be interesting. I feel like GIANTX definitely have more team fighting prowess than I initially anticipated. So I'm looking forward.
I think the problem for GIANTX is if we get a fight in the next 4 minutes or so, Patrik doesn't have flash, Juhan doesn't have flash, the Antonio doesn't have flash. Like, the Antonio less important, but Adam will have a field day. He can just go splash and run at that backline, right? And then Labrov, even though he did burn his flash in that exchange, Rakan doesn't really care. He can just jump onto someone and get onto the backline. So it's going to be trickier for GIANTX without their carries having these summoners. Jackie still has his, so if he's your first target, perhaps you're making a mistake. But if Adam just runs at either the Nidalee or the Ashe, he can chase them down unless they find some support from their friends.
Now we wait once again for another objective to spawn. Both these teams tend to not leverage their side lanes in a way to try and force something like a pick or a fight. Usually they play around those objectives, which means about 1.5 minutes until Dragon spawns.
But I think that's kind of the heartbreaking thing for me watching BDS in playoffs is it feels like they've lost that. Like, this was kind of where I saw BDS growing as a team, was using side lanes, using their wave states well, but we haven't really seen them get that control to go for early void grubs as much. Like, in the mid game, it feels like they're nearly regressing to where they do need to force these fights, where they do have to rely on team fighting. And the Antonio
Ice has to burn the flash to get over the wall. Jackie's with the culling, the arrow, the cleanse, not enough, shut down. Jackie's finds his man. Great engage by GIANTX.
It's kind of how much do GIANTX want to take, because they could even look over towards this barn, but not feeling fully confident that they can take that with so many of the ultimates down. Sheo wants to re-engage.
Nature's Grasp, looking for Patrik, but good body block there by IgNar. Makes sure that his Ashe can walk away unscathed.
It's a big ultimate used ahead of Dragon, but yeah, I'd be hesitant to start a Baron with Olaf on the enemy team. It's obviously a very scary situation. Even with Azir, Maokai, there's a lot, right? It's only a single pick, but it's a valuable one for sure, because now there's no summoner spells on Ice. Those flashes are going to be coming up for Patrik very soon, and BDS won't be able to force the fight before he has his flash once again, which will make things a little bit harder for BDS to threaten that backline. Dragon, though, 10 seconds now, the bot wave being pushed in. Mid-wave contest starting to come through as respawns are starting to happen. Nuke has TP, he's sitting in the top lane. Items being completed. Third almost done now for Jackie's, putting him in a very strong position.
Juhan's going to dash forward, predicts the jump, but Labrov able to eat that damage. The Warmog's first build, or even though he hasn't completed it, makes you relatively healthy to eat a spear here or there. 2 items on Juhan with the Event Horizon and the Leandries. BDS using this time to like nuke push in the top lane. Both of the mid laners have TP.
Patrik just ulted top to try and hit Nuke with that Ashe arrow. It doesn't connect, so that's now down for this fight. They were seeing if they could try and set up for a pick with Jackie, so a big tool now not available for this next fight.
So the Maokai ultimate is back up. I was concerned about not having that available for the Dragon fight, but enough time has passed.
So Jackie's has walked across. Nuke has another wave coming in. In game 1, we saw a little bit of a split call around a GIANTX engage around this Razorbeak pit where Nuke was pushing in a side lane, took a tier 1, didn't TP behind GIANTX. Adam's looking for the long way round. Jackie's has walked his way back up towards top. Nuke starts to go into that fog of war. Adam loves these flanks positions on Olaf. If you can just get easy access to the backline, it's a lot easier to play.
I think the Antonio is trying to basically mark him, find out where the hell he is, because they've completely lost vision of him, but they don't have anything here on GIANTX, and if Adam just walks over towards Razorbeaks, he's good.
Adam runs forward, Straight onto Juhan. Ragnarok coming out. Nature's Grasp used as well. Flash by Juhan, not caught with the roots. Antonio coming in. The Ragnarok continues as Adam gets more autos off. Now it will fall off. There's the Magna Storm, Call of the Forge God, and Adam immediately is put in a bouncy castle and sent back in a body bag. The Drake secured by BDS. Jackie's TPing in. He's looking for Sheo, and Sheo flashes the volley. Patrik can't get in range because of the slow from the sapling. BDS just about walk away.
But the damage is done. They have the health advantage that they need to start the Baron off. The fact that Juhan was able to survive that flank from Adam meant that they were able to find a great re-engage. Once again, GIANTX showing how they can restart these fights so quickly and punish BDS for their aggression. Sheo needs to get back out onto the map, but he's going to be zoned away by IgNar.
Spotted on this ward. Sheo there. Jackie's meets the tree in his own jungle. And we're all yelling timber as the GIANTX find another. The Baron, their next target. GIANTX now 2,000 gold ahead, will be more after they secure the big purple worm.
And GIANTX are just playing this really well, kiting back, as Vedi was saying, and just not giving BDS the wins that they really need. And now even catching Sheo as he's coming out of base. But you see here, Adam in a fantastic position, but the core carries that he really wants to get onto are Patrik and Jackie's, but Jackie's is only going to TP in. He tries to go for Juhan. Juhan has that mobility to get over these small walls. And then as soon as that Ragnarok runs out, IgNar immediately sees his moment, jumps in, the Antonio with the re-engage, and sure, Sheo gets the dragon, but it's the after party where GIANTX are really showing off.
Yeah, I think the execution of that fight was ultimately poor by Adam and BDS, because focusing down Juhan, the idea seems promising because you're zoning the jungler away, but the moment you got his flash over the wall, I feel like that should have been enough, and then you turn your attention onto someone else. Instead, they end up falling short.
Patrik has the cleanse. Adam coming in for the flank, though. Patrik holds on to that summoner for now. Call of the Forge God going in as IgNar looks for the stun, but the Ragnarok chase onto Patrik. He can't escape. Labrov flashed away by Jackie's. Adam taken low by the culling. In the end, they'll settle for one.
That is very much what I expected the fights to look like. Patrik basically just not getting to play. That's the first instance of BDS leveraging their comp to its strength. But GIANTX, they still have the Baron. They're still setting their sights on this mid-tier 1, and they're likely going to secure it.
GIANTX still have the health bars to try and force this one down. Adam had to reset, so it is still the 4v4, and I think that's where, if Adam can get the play started and BDS are able to overrun the fight, it's great. But if you're not able to kind of win the fight outright through Adam, I think that's where you start to struggle, because you still have the Antonios tanking the IgNar, you can try and get these counter engages, and you still have very healthy members on GIANTX at a lot of the end of these fights, so I don't think it's as easy won with Adam in a lot of these situations.
I definitely think that these Maokai builds, as you comment often, Dagda, it's just, he melts like paper.
Yeah,
right?
I really don't like
against
this.
a Lucian, especially who's this fed, he's just going to destroy you. So if it does end up becoming a front-to-back fight, I feel like the GIANTX have the tools to chase them down, which is why I do think that Adam is so crucial in terms of the execution of how these fights play out for BDS, because I think they do need the fights to be a little bit more scattered on the side of when playing BDS's comp into what GIANTX have brought.
As the game goes on, GIANTX only gets stronger. Those masterwork items starting to come into place. Jackie's has one on his Kraken Slayer. The Antonio has another on that Sunfire. And the gold lead, although it's 4,000, more like 6 when you account for that passive. The Baron remains for 25 seconds. Don't think GIANTX will be able to get much more than one more wave pushed in. True Shot Barrage coming out. Takes a chunk out of Jackie's back.
And this is where you do struggle as BDS, because although you do very well going forward, the poke from Juhan, Jackie's with Culling, the aggro from Patrik makes it very, very tough. So BDS, at least doing a good job at the moment of keeping them at bay. It looks like GIANTX going to just back it up for the moment.
Tense affair. Ultimately, though, the Baron wears off. GIANTX only securing, what, 1, maybe even 2 towers off the back of that. So BDS, while they do find themselves at a deficit, not the end of the world. Of course, this Lucian is very strong. Nidalee has a much greater item advantage over that of Sheo, along with experience. Is that level 16 to level 12?
15 to 12.
Oh, he's ticking over to 16. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Go.
Yeah, so...
you were looking at the future camera where you were ready for a second.
No. I was just looking at the number and I was like, that looks like a 15. But yeah, 16. Whatever. Medic! 25 seconds until the dragon. And that's going to be the next big objective.
Glad you agreed that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nostradamus, for
So annoying.
that review. As you say, both teams have 2 Drakes apiece. Won't be sold for either of them, but soul point pretty powerful. 2.5 items on ice. Nuke almost has the Rabadons. Wonder how much gold he is short of that.
The Sterix gauge being completed for Adam is massive though, because it means that he's going to be way more difficult to try and deal with, and just having that little bit of extra time can mean that he kills off Patrik, maybe get some good damage on towards Jackie's as well, but you kind of need BDS to not come through these chokes. I'd like to see Adam come through mid lane.
Forge God, Nature's God's coming out. Labrov already chunked. And GIANTX find their first kill of the fight. Juhan chunked out with a Mystic shot into his back. Ice continuing to put the damage down, but BDS, although healthy, have lost a man. Looks like instead of going for the Drake, they'll try and get the mid lane prio first. GIANTX chunked away. IgNar looking for that flank.
IgNar is going on a very long journey. BDS though, don't spot him out. We'll just now see him on the ward.
I don't know if they pinged him. Nuke's going up there now. Obviously, we'll see him as Nuke is in vision range. The Drake down to 2,000. Taken by Sheo with a smite. Ragnarok in. The flash forward by Adam, but he went in the wrong direction as Patrik is able to escape with a flash of his own. True shot. Straight through the heart of Patrik as he falls in the end.
But it's BDS that put themselves on soul point with the Infernal Soul as well. A quick steal coming through from Sheo means that GIANTX going to be left wanting. They do find 2 kills. It ends up being traded for 1, but a frustrating turn of events for GIANTX, providing that space and opportunity for Sheo. I feel like they should have just been more confident with their front line. The Antonio, rather than looking for a flank, you have numbers advantage.
Especially when in this fight, I would have preferred to see Adam kind of coming down here and trying to separate, oh, this is the second fight, but trying to separate basically out the front line and back line of GIANTX. In this position, you should feel very, very strong, but Patrik just getting sniped out right at the end. And now BDS, as you say, 3 dragons set up. They can start to push out towards sides. You're getting this Rabadon's death cap now completed for Nuke off this reset. Like, things are starting to come alive here for BDS.
GIANTX still the lead in terms of combat gold. Jackie's ticks over to level 18 at 31.5 minutes. 2 levels higher than anyone else in the game. Has 4 items on the Lucian, 6, 1, and 2 so far this game. We'll be looking to make that more obviously as the
Nuke.
Baron is down to 10,000. Nuke has the TP, now he uses it. Nature's Grass coming in as well. IgNar can tank that as he crashes down. The root hits onto the backline as well. Call of the Portrait going out. Adam running away. The Sterax just melted by the culling. Antonio just short of getting the headbutt though. And Nuke starts to open up. Ice dashing forward, takes a spear to his spine. And is down to about half HP.
Look at Adam in the mid lane though. He's going to start to threaten on towards the tier 2 as he's going to clear out this wave. So GIANTX now need to try and regroup on mid, but they're completely separated, which is why BDS, but he's Sheo, going to try and start up this Baron.
So Antonio has TP. Juhan and Patrik still here. Jackie's TP back in. IgNar heals up with the Warmogs, and Sheo, who the team's on the other side of the map, my man. Sheo taken out. Didn't expect IgNar to be waiting around the river bend. As BDS now have to try and fight back from a man disadvantage, but Juhan's down to a 3rd. Ice with these Mystic shots continues to try and keep the damage raining down. IgNar looking for that flank position. No Magnet Storm for him. Does have the flash, gets the Shadowing Strike onto Adam. Ragnarok about to come back off cooldown, but not yet. The Baron secured by GIANTX, and Adam is chasing IgNar down towards the bottom side. He tried to flash, I'm not sure that was the best play. I think you were dead anyway, matey. But in the end, IgNar distracts and GIANTX take the Baron.
Another strange turn of events as both teams fighting back and forth for the Baron. It's a situation where GIANTX were initially forced off the Baron, then BDS thought that they could re-engage onto it, but GIANTX still had both TPs available, being in a position to contest quickly. And then Sheo just kind of gets left in this very awkward spot. We start with our replay, him getting caught out, and Medic, you called it. They were all able to just jump over the wall. Ezreal, Azir, plus the Rakan. Meanwhile, the Baron gets started off really nice damage coming out from Ice consistently throughout the fight. But then Patrik steps up with IgNar to zone BDS away, and they realize, we've overcommitted, we're in a bad spot, we can't contest the Baron anymore, and GIANTX do secure that objective at the cost of IgNar's life.
It's the second time now we've kind of seen these fumbles in this series around the Barons. At least now GIANTX should be able to put a bit of hurting on, but you can already see from the Red Bull Baron power play in the top left corner, hasn't exactly started off great, so definitely want to try and crack the last of these outer turrets and get to the inhibitors.
I actually think it's quite hard for GIANTX to use this Baron really effectively to take towers because the Drake spawns in a minute's time. So you can use it for pressure in the lanes, but if you're overextending for pressure in one of the lanes, then BDS get more time to try and get into a position in the jungle to collapse on you around the dragon.
Oftentimes, if you're in this position, I like using the dragon basically as a fallback plan.
Yeah.
So get full value from the Baron and then fall back onto the dragon afterwards, where you've already taken some of the turrets. Sure, you'll have a bit of extra gold in your pocket, but in theory, you've removed a lot of the vision and the pressure that the enemy team has in the map, so dragon should be easy to take.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, GIANTX are doing the correct thing, right? They send one member mid, push in through mid, they control all of the vision bot side, and then they siege onto the tier 2 tower and fall. This means that they can easily collapse back onto the dragon. Also, while making it difficult, because BDS have no vision. If we have an opportunity to showcase what BDS can see on the map, observers, you'll notice that it's not a lot.
They do have the scuttle crab.
They do have the scuttle crab, but GIANTX are doing the correct steps in terms of suffocating BDS of their vision. They'll get 2 towers, and then they can just fall back to the dragon. The mistake would be overextending to try and push into the base, because if they then lost the fight, you're just conceding a soul, and you'd have no way of really contesting the objective.
Arrow.
But fortunately, they're not going to do that.
Well, Arrow stops Ice's back. Tempo heaven right now for GIANTX. As you say, they'll turn their eyes towards the Drake, and they do it by the numbers perfectly. They secure their 3rd of the game. Once again, it might be a second Baron, go into the soul point into an Elder, fight 3rd Baron, 4th Baron sort of game, Vedi.
Wait, is that our have we had 2 Barons this game?
That might be our first.
All the Barons blend together.
Actually, it's probably our, I think it's our first. You're right. But then second Baron would be next. It's like breakfast. It was the second. Oh, it was the audience watches better than we do.
So we've had 6 Barons in this series, and we're on game 2.
You say the numbers. I'm
confident in 6. It was 4 in game 1. Okay. I know that much. And someone's gonna be like, it was 5. And I'm like, it's the cap. Anyway, we're gearing up for, well, nothing. There's no objective to play for. So instead, the vision game becomes the key. You basically start, the team that has the advantage, starts pressuring through both mid and top. They set their sights on the top tier 2 because it's the next easiest objective to take. And you start to, again, suffocate the vision, while BDS will try and fight that vision back if they can. But as you can rightly see, right now, they're not in a position, they don't have the numbers to be able to do so. So the fog of war grows ever larger on the side of BDS.
And I think BDS are trying to play for a pick before GIANTX can really get their wave set up. You do a ton of poke from Juhan. Even the rapid fire cannon with a full build Lucian is going to do a ton of damage if he gets a double shot at you. So for a lot of this, BDS, you can see hyper aggressive on the wave states. But now you've got the Antonio considering coming in behind.
Sundisk, the Magnus Storm going in, and look at the damage. Somehow they caught Nuke in the middle of all of that. IgNar's gonna go down, but now the TP behind as BDS call for the retreat. Ice needs to get out of here. Sheo puts down a sapling for the slow. The Antonio chasing forward, blast cone away. Infernal Cinder for a little bit of movement speed, and Ice will escape to fight another day.
Adam, you can see immediately trying to move in towards the mid wave and clear that one out, but GIANTX will still have a wave now to play off in this mid lane if they want to try and crack open the base. Everyone on BDS trying to reset, but there's no way they can defend this.
I mean, I underestimated GIANTX's ability to teamfight. I didn't think with this comp that they would be able to execute these kind of wombo combos, but they're making it work flawlessly as we enter the very late game. Really nice engage from IgNar. They follow that up with great damage from Jackies, and the question we had earlier was, could he step up and be that carry? And so far, he's doing an excellent job.
It's also the ability to pick out a single man in that cluster. Like, all of the damage was falling on Nuke, and it absolutely melted him. Didn't have time to flash, didn't have time to use the Emperor's Divide. And GIANTX steal away more of the BDS jungle. Juhan on this Nidalee, although not as flashy as Jackies, has been involved in just as many kills. In fact, the exact opposite. 8-1-3 to 3-1-8. So he's there assisting his mid laner at every possible opportunity. Has a 4,500 gold lead. Jackie's cresting over 5k now, with Nuke still only getting up towards 4 items.
But with 2 minutes now until the Dragon, that's really what both teams are sieging up for. You do a Baron in a little bit, but oh, hang on.
Bullet Forge got out again. Ice going to try an Arcane Shift away. Has to flash, still gets hit with the knockup.
Antonio soaking up a lot of damage. Has the Warmog, so he'll be able to heal it up. Ice doing what he can to land the poke down, but he's now lost his flash.
There's the arrow. Ragnarok in. Adam tries to chase onto Jackie's. Labrov dashes in as well, and the Magnus Storm! It's 4 men, and they're dead men walking as GIANTX get a clean ace.
GIANTX find the engage that they need. Adam gets obliterated by the double AD carries, and just like that, GIANTX are taking us to game number 3.
A cleaner performance in Game 2 by GIANTX puts them on the cusp of the top 4 here in Summer. One game away, one game to decide it here between GIANTX and BDS.
I mean, I have to hold my hands up, you know, and apologize, because my expectations were that I liked BDS's draft a lot. I thought that they had a good game plan coming in, but we never really got to see Adam threatening the backline. Instead, every time he tried to, Jackie's just melted him. He was huge in this fight, and of course, bringing out the Nidalee, we are trepidatious here in Europe about this champion, but 2 days in a row now, even with Isma as well, we're seeing it work here in the LEC.
There we are, and we'll see if it works in Game 3 as well. We're going to go to a short break, but don't you dare go anywhere unless you need to go to the bathroom or get some food or make a cup of tea or something, then you can come back. Cool.
See you in a bit.
Deal.
Freely using Katarina's cook.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Kindred cautiously
Cook Kit Kat cupcakes.
Carefully using
Katarina's cute cookie cutters.
Ooh, I'm on it. I'm ready. Let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.